Welcome to Cosmic Comics, Games and Collectibles, your zen of geekism. We carry comics old and new, magazines, toys, games like Pokemon, Magic, D&D. Want Godzilla, Ultraman, Star Trek, Ninja Turtles, Funko Pops? You'll find it all here. Shop our Cosmic Sound Room and pick up a record or two. Enjoy our Comic Coffee Lounge with a cup of Sasquatch coffee or a delicious menu item while geeking out over a super cool movie on our big screen. Come by and say hello to Maui. Cosmic Comic, Games and Collectibles. Superman loves us, and so will you.
A belly full of coffee, but it is 7 o'clock here in the Central Time Zone, and we are ready to rock with our LCS Guys show. So far, we have with us Michael Tierney from Little Rock. Michael, welcome, welcome.
Hey, good to be here.
Do you still consider yourself an LCS guy, even doing mail order?
Well, most of my customers are local, so I just don't mail them very far.
There you go. It gets in the blood, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, I've got customers I've had a relationship with for 40 years. I've been providing them their books, and they just don't trust anybody else. So I'm happy to do it for them there. And so the way I am, because they give me a call, they email me all the time. So still stay in contact. Just don't do the storefront part. So I don't have all that overhead.
Yeah, but if they're local, I wonder why even mail them. Why don't they just come by the house and pick them up? I don't know. You probably don't want that kind of foot traffic anyway.
I might get some complaints out of my neighbors.
Exactly. And joining us also tonight from Ideal Comics, we have Mat Rhys. Matt, welcome to the show.
How's it going, folks?
It's been an interesting day.
You've been really busy on the internet there. You've been show after show after show, huh?
This was a small day. I had two other shows today, 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock, but it's not like that day, last month when I went from 10 to 10 and had 12 streams back to back. That was fun. But that was not an LCS Guys weekend, so I could pull that off. And I still get sleepy thinking about that one. But yeah, I'm living here, in Eureka Springs near Bentonville. I'm up on a mountain, up on top of one of many mountains. And coming back from Walmart, which is a 15-mile trek now for me. I'm on the last trek. I've actually turned onto my street. And to tell you what my street is like, I had to stop because there was a deer, basically 400 feet before I get to my driveway.
Welcome to the Ozarks.
Welcome to the Ozarks. So I stopped, and it wasn't just a deer. It was a mama deer and a baby deer. And this baby deer, this fawn didn't even come up to my knee. That's how young this thing still was. And it was like figuring out what these leg things are for. You could tell the way it was walking. And the mama went right and the baby went left. I'm like, oh no. That's not good. Someone's gonna cross in front of a car. So I stopped my car right in the middle of the street. Nobody was coming. Nobody came the whole time I was there. And I got off on the left side of the road, and I'm like, where's that baby deer at? And it's hunkered down in the grass. I'm like, you got to get up and, go to mom, or the other way around here. And while I'm fiddling around with her, the mom jumps back on the other side. And I'm like, okay, well, I got some real good close-up pictures. I mean, this thing's about the size of a pug dog. And she's like hunkered down, and she's sliding down the embankment. Gravity's just taking her. And she gets on her back. And for whatever reason, when she rolls on her back, I didn't know deer could scream. This deer screamed because she got her right arm hooked behind her head like this, and got up and was like on all 3 feet and couldn't get her arm over. So I had to get her undone and shoo her off into the woods where I could hear her mom tromping around waiting for her baby to show up. And then I came and did some streams. So that was my day.
I had nothing that exciting. I've been tucked in today reading Epileptic by David B., the French comic. So that's what I've been doing with my day.
Matt's very hoity-toity with his comic reading.
Yeah, I've been working on my Robert E. Howard chronology all day and all week. I mean, I think I've only gone to bed 2 days this week. Every rest of the time, I just take like a 3-hour nap when my eyes just get too tired. and get back at it, just working around the clock, trying to knock it
Yeah,
out.
you've been working on that for a while now too. I mean, that's going to be another huge endeavor.
This is a big project. I mean, you have no idea how big an output that Robert E. Howard's had. I mean, that guy, everything he ever had. I mean, if he scribbled a note in high school, somebody published it. And they published it in a magazine, put it in another magazine, put it in this book and that book. I mean, it's all over the place. I mean, his stuff had legs. I mean, a writer can only aspire to have his stuff as widely read as what Robert E. Howard did. He couldn't get it during his lifetime, but he certainly had it after his life was over.
And there's Dave from Cosmic Comics. Dave, welcome.
Hey guys, how you doing? Sorry I'm late.
That's all right. You're down there in the tiki room.
I am. My home, my oasis from work. So
I don't know if you've been able to catch any of our other streams this past couple of weeks, Dave, but you got here late, so you missed our opening, which is this huge 60-second commercial for Cosmic Comics that we run all the time now.
Thank you. We're still proud of that, although we're coming out of COVID now, so I think we're probably going to have to reshoot it without the masks. So.
It's definitely a product of its time.
Yeah. I think we'll probably shoot another one next month when I get back from vacation. So
in City Hall buildings, everybody has to wear a mask. And when all of us city aldermen were getting our photos taken, I was asking the mayor, "Well, do we need to leave our masks on for the photos?" He goes, "That would be a hell of a time shot." But
yeah, I know.
Look at what those guys do. They're all hiding their faces that year.
I know. It like I said, it's amazing how in the course of a week it became obsolete, the commercial. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think I'll reshoot it when we get back. So.
Have you noticed a spike though? Any direct results from it?
Yeah, definitely increase in business, increase of walk-ins because people have seen it, and increase on following us on Instagram and Facebook.
Cool. And that was just from the drive-in.
Just from the drive-in, yeah.
So imagine if you'd gone local television, cable access. Or whatever.
Yeah. Which who knows? Maybe someday. Baby steps, I always say. Drive in first.
Yep.
I have to say, I kind of dig that we live in a world where that's a legitimate strategy. Having grown up in the era where drive-ins you watch them die. For me anyway, and they were a thing, and then they weren't anymore, and everyone was like, "Oh, that's like 8 tracks. You're never going to see those again."
or records,
Right. Well, records came back. Records are kind of back though,
Oh yeah. We're getting ready to launch. We've had it up since mid-COVID because just trying to figure out how to generate some cash flow in what used to be our gaming room. And gaming's all gone online now. So I turned the back room into selling LP records. But it's never really taken off yet because people don't know it's back there. So mid-June, we're going to have our first annual record spin, or maybe bi-monthly record spin, where we're going to have a DJ spinning records from our record room. Nice. So it's called the Cosmic Vinyl Sound Room. And that way, if you're listening, whatever you're hearing, we'll make the announcement. You can buy this record right now once we're done playing it, and you can buy it out of our record room. So it's just a matter. Cool. Yeah,
that's fun.
Matter of just trying to figure out where to tune up, tune a fork and make every little inch count, because like I said, we lost our Wednesday night gaming group. So we're down to one gaming group now, and that's on Saturdays, and they ended up not playing today because of allergies. So, that's
a nerd excuse.
I know, right? I was like, only a nerd would come up with that. My allergies are killing me. I'm not going to game tonight.
Yeah, so. we can't raid the castle. I got hay fever.
Exactly. So, but yeah, I mean, the drive-in thing to me was a no-brainer because, with COVID, the theaters were closed up except for the drive-in was open, and they did a banner year last year because of COVID. So to me, it was a no-brainer because people are still going to go to the drive-in. And it's the last of the Mohegans standing in our area.
Yeah, it's the only one in I think the next one is in Litchfield, 200 miles.
Yeah.
Up in Scotts Bluff, our historic art house theater used to be the big theater in town, but it closed down and got reopened as an art house theater. The Midwest, they were closed down, but a bunch of their backers got together and they actually erected a drive-in just because they wanted to keep the attention on the local theater going.
Yeah.
And they built one out by the airport.
That's which is so funny to put a drive-in by an airport.
Yeah.
You know? that's like putting the drive-in by the train tracks.
Yeah. Well, we're a small town, so the flights are all done by the time the shows went on. So.
Okay.
So you got Cessnas.
So it's not a major airline then.
Yeah. I mean,
Southwest
they have big flights come in, but they're all like transfers from Denver or from Rapid or wherever else. So it's all done by like 7 p.m.
Right. Right before showtime.
Exactly.
That's cool.
I don't know about what you guys have been doing with comics, but all of a sudden, all this crowdfunding thing that everybody's been behind, it's gone from being this really cool thing that everyone participates in to something that actually happens now. It's like I feel like I've been throwing money at these projects for a year and a half to 2 years. I'm like, yeah, I like that. Here's $20. Yeah, I like that. Here's $20, and then I forget about it.
Yeah,
and now like packages are showing up. And I got a couple of them here now. Matt, you'll recognize this one.
Oh yeah, I've seen that one around.
Yeah, we were kind of critiquing this one, and I'm saying this lightly, Matt, because the man on top of you is the LCS guy directly to the creator of the book. So they talk.
Gotcha.
I got a little unhinged on the show Thursday, so.
Okay.
But it was nothing about Walmart and delivery. It was all storytelling technique and plot devices and such.
Yeah.
So it was legitimate criticism.
Is that another one that's going to be in Walmart only?
No, this was the crowdfunded book. This is the full volume.
Cool.
All 3 issues, I guess.
Good.
Well, there's 3 more pages in that one than Walmart got.
Yeah.
So plus the previews.
Plus, it's got a slip cover over it, so it's
cool.
a comic book with a stiff cardboard slip cover.
I actually still have mine right next to the computer
because we were
from Thursday. It just happens to still be here.
That's cool. Congratulations.
It's shipped to everybody now.
Yeah, it's shipped. It's out. It's kind of I don't know if Mitch cares to know or not. So Mitch delivered it to somebody else. And that person was already so done with the Walmart thing, but he didn't cancel. And it arrived. He's like, so my Red Rooster just arrived. I haven't even opened the box. I don't want to open it. Who wants it? $15. And I was the first one there. I'm like, I'm your Huckleberry.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
He sent it to me unopened. It was just like I'd backed it. And then this one's been hanging around for a while too. And we finally got this one in. Florida Man.
I got to get that. I got to get that one too. So. You send me the links, and then I'm always so damn busy, and I forget to get on the damn crowdfunding. So then I'm like writing everybody, begging them, you got an extra copy around there? I'll PayPal you the money and send it to me.
Yeah, and I'm always talking to them about, hey, retailer tiers. I got names escape. Titan Mouse of Might. He's the guy who does that.
Gary Shipman.
Gary Shipman. Well, he sent me a link after the show. He's like, hey, I made a secret tier for retailers.
Okay.
So share it with the retailers. So I shared it with you, and I shared it with some other people. And I said, okay, retailers, here's secret tier for you guys.
I hear nothing but good things about that project, but I haven't dipped in myself yet.
Well, he's Gary had another book that this spun out of for years. It went through Image,
right?
Packin's Land. Yeah, this is a spinoff from Packin's Land, and it's going to go back to being Packin's Land after Titan is done. So. If you remember that Image book and the other stuff that the other publishers before, that's the tough. Dave, I do have some stuff here that you would be really interested in, though, too. This is one that came through on Kickstarter.
Cool.
This is the first 5 issues collected.
Yeah, I had heard about that. So
yeah, so far so good. And I got the other 6 issues because they're up to issue number 11 now. All through Kickstarter. And then the last one I got also is one that you would really like, Monster MD by Von Klaus.
Yeah, I know that one. Yeah.
Yep. I just finished reading it and reviewing it. I was very, very happy with that. Matt, I don't know how many books you crowdfund, and Dave, I don't know how many crowdfunded books you get in the store. I know you get some
I get some. A lot of them, the Lady Death crowdfunding. You know, because Lady Death is always so fun, and it's easy for me to move those.
Yeah.
You know, and then I forgot the other one, but it's the same. It's by Coffin Comics as well. La Muerte. So
La Muerte.
Yeah, and I've done that one too, crowdfunding. So, I mean, if I had just money put in, I really should start putting money aside just for crowdfunding, so that we can just go ahead and crowdfund everybody. So, because I would love to get Cosmic Comics doing more crowdfunding and backing those, you know, the crowdfunding people, because, you know, the industry is changing once yet again. I'm sure you guys have all heard about the new acquisition of DC Comics by, I think, Discovery.
Yeah.
They're AT&T's merging their brands for how they're doing they're smallifying the bigified thing. I guess I
don't know what's going to happen at this point with it. I mean, God knows DC needs a lot of help.
Well, I suspect part of it has to do with trimming up the way it can be managed so that each branch can be more profitable because they're more accountable.
Right.
When DC's just under the giant Warner Brothers umbrella, they can kind of not, you know, there's not as much accountability because they're just part of this.
No, you're right.
You know,
like I've always said that they've got way too many chefs in the kitchen.
Well,
so
I mean, it's like the way Walmart does it is every single store acts like a franchise, even though they're all corporate.
Yeah.
And so if you don't make money, you actually have to pay back to your out of your bottom line. Each store has to pay back to if they don't make rent and stuff.
Right.
So it incentivizes each store to be as productive as they can be. So it's probably something like that.
Well, I hope that at least in the Filmworks department they'll get rid of what's her name, because she's not listening to the fans whatsoever. So I mean, Zack Snyder's like given up. He's like, I'm done with HBO, and he's gone on to Netflix. So
yep.
You know, or no, he didn't say he was done with HBO. He's done with Warner Brothers and DC. What's her name, guys? Remind me what her name is. I always forget her name, but she's the one running
Patty
Jenkins. Is that it? No, she was a director. Yeah, no, the one who's running Warner Brothers. I guess I'll Google that. And she's the one who and she did not want it. She goes, no, we're done with Zack Snyder. We're not going to reinstate the Snyderverse.
Patty Hirsch.
What is it?
Patty Hirsch.
Yeah, Patty Hirsch. Yeah. So
that's an unfortunate name. I'm just going to say it.
Yeah,
yes,
really.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. So, yeah, she's not listening to what the fans want, and that's a shame. So, you know, she thinks that she's got it all figured out.
There's a fear that, you know, they won't be able to create anything because they'll only create what the fans want. But at the same time, you know, look at Sony. Sony released that god-awful looking Sonic the Hedgehog preview. It was frightening looking. And the fans said, no, we're not even going to give you money for this movie when it comes out. And Sony listened and took it back and redesigned it. Spent, you know, a bunch more money on it and released it. And fans were like, holy crap, they listened. Let's go see what they did.
And one of the fun things about that too is like I know some people who are like hardcore Sonic fans, and the movie doesn't match any of the other previous versions of Sonic.
No,
it does aesthetically, but in terms of like the lore, it's just a little different. But every incarnation of Sonic has been just a little bit different, so it matches kind of what they were already doing with it as far as the aesthetic of it all. So it feels like Sonic, even though it's kind of its own thing.
Yeah, I've not even played the game. I didn't know anything about Sonic, but I went to see it anyway. My favorite part was that he's reading Silver Age Flash comics in his cave.
Yeah, with some little nods.
And he was learning how to do stuff from them. So I thought that was cool. We had a big moment on the channel this week. We became a real boy in the eyes of YouTube. We are now monetized. So
good for you.
Fancy.
Yeah. So we can have memberships and everything. So
I'll keep my hot takes to a minimum.
Yeah, I don't want to lose the quarter this week.
Yeah,
because that's about how much it comes to. We do take memberships though, and the membership is like the tiniest little thing in the world because I have nothing to offer except, you know, anybody who becomes a member will get a free sticker and a free keychain, and we'll keep throwing offers out there to the members to keep them members, I guess. figuring this out as we go along. It's a whole new world now.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you,
yeah.
sir. Michael, you don't deal a whole lot with the crowdfunded stuff, though, do you? I mean, you have to pretty much stay Diamond or Penguin Lunar or however you're going to do it from now on.
Yeah. I'm having to deal with several different distributors, but yeah, I don't buy a lot of crowdfunding because basically I'm just supplying what my customers tell me they want in advance. But with crowdfunding, they'll just go get that directly themselves. So now I do sell some stuff on crowdfunding. I've done well with both Kickstarter and Indiegogo, but that's going through publishers who are publishing my work or something I collaborate with them on, like that recent Cosmic Courtship did fantastic. Did way far better than what we thought it would.
Yeah, I got the review copy of that.
Yeah. So yeah, it's and so far we've only had a few reviews come through, but everybody seems to like it, and so we've already got a whole bunch more books planned for the next batch, and actually we've got 2 of them almost done, and so we're going to do like a batch of 3 next time, and but we're not going to announce anything until we actually get this shipped, because for some reason people get a little antsy when you start saying I'm going to sell this other stuff now, and you haven't delivered on the thing people have already paid you for.
Yes,
so
yeah, they do.
Then we're going to say here's what's coming next.
That'll ease up a little bit as you get further down the line too. Then they know that he's constantly producing. But if you get a bad review on the Cosmic Courtship, Julian's been dead for a few hundred years now. He's not going to care.
This ghost to come haunt you. But
yeah,
it's all about astral projection of it. Now then, also in August, they'll be launching the Troll Lord people will be, or I guess it'd be more Chenault and Gray branch. They'll be launching the Robert E. Howard chronology on the Kickstarter.
Okay. So that's why your head's down over it every day.
What's that?
That's why your head's down over it every day, so you can hit that deadline?
No, I'm just trying to get as far as I can on that. So I won't be the delay. It's actually going to be I might have to hire several editors just to try to keep up with all the work I'm putting out, because I think it's more than what one editor can keep up with. And but I'm trying to get them knocked out as fast as I can. The Burroughs chronology did over 90,000 in sales, so I'm hoping the Robert E. Howard will do even better. And plus, too, people go look and see what reviews I got on the Edgar Rice Burroughs one. It was all fantastic reviews.
But Dave, you're a writer. You should put some of your work into a crowdfunded effort kind of thing. I know you were working on a film project for a while.
Yeah, and I was just talking with somebody last night about that the Shadow project I was doing. And now we're talking about possibly just flipping it and doing it. I go back and forth. I was going to change the damn character from the Shadow to a different character because of infringement rights. And then I thought, well, wait a minute, I'll just get a hold of the lawyers and see what it would cost to lease, him and do my own version of the Shadow, because nobody's liking what James Patterson's doing with the character. And he's got a bunch of book deals with it. So it's still up there floating around. I mean, it's written, a good portion of it's already written. I just need to figure out, because the more I keep thinking about it, the more I want to go back to it being just being the Shadow. I don't want to change the character, because so much of it has already been written about the Shadow. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
If you can license the character they would probably treat it as a fan film.
Yeah.
Fan films are done all the time with Star Trek, and you know that they're not paying, Paramount levels of licensing fees for those things.
No, not at all. I mean, the whole idea behind a fan film is you can't charge for it, so it becomes free. But I don't know what happens after that. I mean, do you then? So you load it up, and maybe you can tell me. You load it up on YouTube, and I think the idea then is to have enough followers that you can start selling commercial spots.
Yeah.
And then that way, that's where your income comes in. It's not coming in from necessarily the fan film you made, but it's coming from the ad spots that are on. Revenue. Yeah, the ad revenue. That's a way around it legally, I think.
There was one, and Matt, maybe you remember this too, if you follow Star Trek fandom any. But there was a fan film where all the fans got outraged at Paramount because apparently Paramount had always turned a blind eye to the fan films because they were doing exactly what you said, and then somebody made, oh my God, a good one, and everybody was going to see it, and they were actually making real money at it. So Paramount said, "Oh, well, you can't make real money at it. We're going to sue you now."
Wasn't that the one where that one voice actor was playing Kirk? I'm trying to remember the cat's name now.
Well, if you're thinking of Vic Mignogna,
Yeah.
he's doing one now. He's doing a series, like the 5th year. But this was more like 10 years ago.
Okay, I do not recall that.
Yeah, I know the one you're talking about, and it and it's so funny because if I recall, now it's what Paramount ended up doing Discovery because of that one from 10 years ago. Yeah, because they even almost stole the whole ship and everything. So
Really?
yeah, and I could see it right in my head too. So I remember I saw it, and it actually, if I recall, it had some of the cast members of the original Star Trek in it as well. So I know Walter Koenig was in it, and yeah,
I do remember hearing about that, but I can't remember anything else about it.
Yeah, and it got shut down heavily too. So, and I don't even think it's on YouTube anymore. So I know Paramount went after him big time. So it's really so a guy here in Illinois, named Donald Callahan. He did a fan film called Superman World War, not Superman, but Supermen World War, but has Superman in there and Clark Kent, and he's done very well with the film and everything, and it's on YouTube, and he's currently working on the sequel, and it's supposed to be a trilogy of films he's doing. And he's always asking me, and I'm like, well, you got to be careful, because you're working with a copyrighted character. But he's not using the Superman outfits of today. He's actually using the old Max Fletcher Superman outfit, from the cartoon. And somewhere in there, it's okay for him to use that outfit as opposed to the Christopher Reeve one or the current one. So,
well, I think the reason they can do that is because they've changed, like costumes. That costumes actually fall into the public domain.
Yeah,
just like the Max Fleischer cartoons themselves have.
Yeah, so that's how he gets around it, and that's So then I'm like, well, wait a minute here. The thing is, the Shadow is public domain. There's an estate, but it's still public domain as far as the character goes. But it's owned by lawyers. A law firm owns it, but their only purpose is to be able to lease it out. So, we all got freaked out when James Patterson, the writer, got the rights to it. But then as I looked into it, he just leased it out to be able to do this run of books and possibly do some films. So there's always a way around it. You just have to find it, though.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of films, did anybody watch that show that was on last night about the origin of the Wonder Woman, the guy who created her?
I've seen that. You're talking about that documentary?
Well, it's like a live action with Chris Evans.
Oh no, I didn't see that one. No.
Yeah, it's well acted. It had to be. I fast forwarded a few parts out. The spanking and the bondage and all that stuff.
Oh, was that Dr. Moulton and the Wonder Women?
That's the documentary I was talking about. But you said Chris Evans is in this?
Yeah, there's a movie too. There's a biopic that came out 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just on TV last night. That was my first exposure to it. Now I don't know when it actually did come out. It just ran on TV last night. I watched it for the first time, and nice thing about
that's good.
DVR, you fast forward through the parts, you're like, you're focusing a little too long on that. I'm gonna, let's get to the next scene. But I liked seeing the early days of DC and what was going on with that, and how he was selling it, and how he's trying to put all the psychology into it. And I kind of explained, you always heard about all his idiosyncrasies, and it explored all that. But Chris Evans is a good actor, and he pulled it off too. And I think the guy who played the guy who was the smut peddler that Evans was buying his pornography from, I think he played Einstein in another movie. So had some good talent in there.
I still got to check that one out.
Was that?
Yeah, I still don't know that. I don't think it's the same one that I saw, because the one I saw did not have Chris Evans in it. It had no name actors, and it's Charles Moulton and the Wonder Women and that kind of thing. So and that was on. I think I saw that on Prime or Hulu. No, it was on Hulu, and I saw that, and that was good too.
I think it actually might have been the same picture.
Okay.
Because the one I'm looking,
I just don't remember Chris Evans being in it.
it's
Chris
Luke
Evans
Evans.
was Luke Evans. Yeah.
Luke
Oh,
Evans.
Luke Evans. I'm sorry.
Okay, see, now you threw me
Yeah.
off, Michael.
There's
Yeah,
a
sorry,
Welsh
sorry about
actor,
that.
Luke Evans, who was in it.
Okay.
We were thinking Captain America, and we're like, what?
Yeah, I'm like,
I was
I don't
thinking Lord of the
remember
Rings,
fucking
so-
Captain America in that.
I don't know if I
Okay.
could handle Captain
Yep,
America
it was
getting
Luke,
spanked
that's
by
right.
Wonder
You
Woman.
got the wrong
That's a little
guess.
too much.
Oh. Yeah, I still got to check that one out.
Yeah, it's good. It's really good, but yeah, he
too, because they just wasn't plotting, chronological order. They kind of, mixed in with the past and the future and his trauma, and the whole people coming after him, like, hey, you're selling smut in comic books, which nobody's ever experienced that before, have they? So,
No, God.
yeah. So it had a
yeah,
lot of-
well, yeah, and it's funny when it goes to publication, and DC's like, yeah, you need to tame this a little bit. You need less bondage and less spanking and all that shit.
Which
So
he
they-
got spanked a lot.
Yeah.
Which is something coming from DC. I'm just going to say that. There are other lines in the 40s.
Yeah.
Those comics in the World War II era, they were pretty wild. I remember.
Yeah, they were racy.
Torch and guy threw a bomb on a beach and melted everybody's skin. Mass murder. I mean, they were pretty gruesome. They did.
You got to remember this was all pre-code. Yeah. So once that happened, then everything changed. But even then they were, even before pre-code, they were like, we got to be careful here.
Yeah.
So
well, I mean, there was the I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say there was the code before the code too. That was a thing, but DC had been mitigating some of their content starting in the early 40s, like 42, because there was a big movement to try to censor comics back in 42 too.
Yeah.
Mothers associations that were picketing and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, they were.
Well, and a lot of the comics were sent to, were for war veterans. I mean, they were sent out to the boys on the line. And so those comics, the original start of comics wasn't really geared toward kids because kids didn't have any money. And we're talking about just right after during the Depression and right after the Depression, during World War II. So they were geared toward more of the teens and the adults who would read them, while in the war and stuff. So
and then once the comics code came in, it was kind of interesting to watch how the creators would slip stuff past the censors by playing a little sleight of hand, like, okay, I'm going to get them looking at this, and they won't see this over here. Like there was a cover of Superboy, and this other guy, both Superboy and Wonder Boy both walk the same way. They're scanning everybody's underneath their clothes. Well, they're each walking next with a girl with them. Somebody's like, yeah, it's wait a minute, but so that censors didn't say, hey, wait a minute, they're looking at everybody's clothes, and you've got women in the scene. So what they did in the background, you can see there was a sign that it clearly, when they turned it in, said drugs. Well, you can't have the word drugs on the cover, and all of a sudden the R is real big. So okay, change that drugs to rugs, and they never noticed that these guys were looking under everybody's clothes, and so it slipped up by. And then there was another one where I think it was Superman and Lois are outside of a turning room, and there's I get Lang. What it was is basically Superman and Jimmy were married to sisters.
Oh,
and then their kids had gotten together, and they're like, did anybody not think that these are first cousins? This is incest here on the cover.
Wow.
So they got lots of stuff past the censors. You just throw one thing over here, the censors say, hey, you can't do that, and they don't notice the other thing that you're doing. So, yeah, it was wild to see what they got away with.
Give them a bigger target.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. Sleight of hand.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Robert Roberts in the chat says, it always struck me about American children's entertainment that swaths of machine gun fire is allowed, but damn it, no nipples.
Yeah.
Have you seen the old Captain Marvel movie? Black and white.
The old black and white serials, yeah.
Yeah. Like he comes up, he comes flying down in really good animation of him flying, lands up in a machine gun nest of Nazis. Well, the Nazis get out and run away. He picks up the machine gun and shoots them in the back as they're running away. Oh, well, they're Nazis. That's okay. Shoot them in the back.
Yeah, I always loved it when Shazam, Captain Marvel would throw people off the building. It's like he just picks them up, tosses them. I'm like, holy shit! So
yeah, when I was doing my Edgar Rice Burroughs chronology, I was going through all those pre-code Tarzan comics, and I called it the Tarzan's battle scorecard of all the people and things and creatures he would kill. And I mean, he would cut a bloody swath. And if Jane is ever kidnapped, everything between him and Jane is going to die. And I mean, he wiped out whole species of creatures, and I mean, it was just insane. All the things he would kill in every episode. Then, of course, by the time we got around to the '60s, he was a tree hugger and didn't hurt a fly.
Yeah.
Really
I want to go back if it's not a huge thing, but the comment from Robert Roberts. The thing about it, I think that's actually a valid situation, because part of the point of hero literature is about protecting the feminine, right? The whole chivalric idea. So it's far more appropriate for lots of violence in the case of protecting the feminine. So that to me makes sense.
Yeah,
but
another thing too, they never used the bad language. If Tarzan called somebody a rascal, he was really giving you a tongue lashing. If you're a rascal, you're a bad guy. You're a rascal. Have you ever seen the old Die Hard movies?
Yeah.
Have you seen them edited for TV?
No.
Oh God.
Everybody becomes a rascal. There was one scene where Bruce Willis is talking to the guy who he ends up being a bad guy, but the guy goes, "Well, I always thought you were a rascal." Yeah, but I'm your kind of rascal. And I was laughing for days after that. You rascal, you. Lots of guys, you rascal.
Yippee-ki-yay, rascal.
That's right. That's yeah.
Oh my God.
We've been using all this bad language 40 style.
It's a different sensibility here than over in Europe. I know that people in Europe can't understand why we allow so much violence and bloodshed in children's entertainment, but no sexuality. And over there, it's the exact opposite. Like, sex is sex and nudity is nudity, but oh my God, that's a gun. That's or even worse, that's a knife.
So we grew up at an age when people in high school, they had gun racks in the back of their windows in their cars.
Oh, their trucks, yeah.
If you talk to anybody from Europe, they're acting like, "Well, if you have a gun, wouldn't you want to go use it?" No, we don't. Nobody thinks like that, not unless there's something wrong with them. And when you really get to that whole gun craze stuff, one thing I've been kind of studying on it, because I actually drove under the gun sights, like the second mass shooting that happened in the U.S. The first one was that guy who got the bell tower down in Texas, and he was shooting all the people. The second one was up in Wichita, Kansas, where I was working in printing at the time. And so I'm driving down to work, and I'm going down the main strip and turned it off. And I'm thinking, man, somebody's got the worst backfiring car I have ever heard. And then by the time I get to work, everybody's running out like, "Oh, did you make me thought we know which way you drive? And you went right through where the guy's doing all the shooting." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And I'm driving home that night, and they're reading off the list of all the people he shot. He didn't kill a whole lot of people, but he shot a lot of people. So I've always paid attention to these mass shooters, having literally driven under the sights of the guys he was open fire. And one of the things that I've noticed that always seems to happen is that these guys have just come off their antidepressant medicines. They quit taking the antidepressants and they go out and start killing people. So it seems like it's almost like a big pharma problem, but they don't ever want to investigate that part. Everybody, draws attention like, "Hey, let's look at that," and like that always gets shushed.
Well, in the stats for mass shootings, it also a lot of times includes like gang activity too. And those don't fit the criteria. Those don't fit this profile, but they often fit the criteria when you look at the stats.
Yeah. So they don't get counted as a mass shooting; it just get counted as gang violence.
Well, they should be counted as gang violence, but a lot of times they're still in the mass shooting statistics.
Oh, I get you.
When you cut out the drive-by shootings, the number of mass shootings drops to a tenth of or even the single digits of the same percent. Because there's so many.
That's the guys who are coming off the antidepressants. Like the guy up there in the Colorado Batman theater shooting, he just quit taking his antidepressants, and it was like one brand that's like multiple shooters have just come off of that. So that's more the problem. It's not that people like guns, like all of a sudden they just get crazy. They got a gun in the house, got to go use it. There's something wrong with you if that happens. There's just normal people don't think like that.
I've thought about doing a show sometime, maybe one that we could discuss in mass sometime about. Because you talk about coming off of pills and then going a little crazy. We have a number of comic book characters, especially back in the day, who got their powers by taking a pill. And You had Our Man, who was taking, he was basically on speed for an hour or whatever, because he would be super strong. He'd have adrenaline pumping through him for exactly 1 hour. The Black Terror was a pharmacist who would take a formula before he went out to fight crime so that he would be strong for the night. And I'm surprised that no one really ever hit on the fact that Captain America, he gets an injection to become what he is.
Well, even Asterix the Gaul, right? Getting his magic potion from Getafix.
Yeah, we can count magic, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh,
Magic elixir.
Magic elixirs.
The magic elixir, right.
Underdog's vitamin ring. You always kept one in the ring.
Popeye spinach.
Man, Popeye spinach. Yeah. I bet you, man, there's a whole book right there that you could do just on that kind of research.
I'm just surprised that that was the drug use was never like, hey, quit showing your heroes using drugs to become what they are.
Well, I mean, I think Roy Thomas ended up touching on that in talking about Our Man in Infinity Incorporated, didn't he?
He did, because Our Man was developing a tolerance for the drug, and it wasn't working for him the same way anymore. And he would get the DTs when he would quit taking it.
Mm-hmm.
So he was trying to perfect the formula.
I mean, and that's been through, even literature of, look at the Invisible Man.
Yeah.
He had to take the potion and got more and more crazy because of the addiction to the potion. And he was addicted to becoming the Invisible Man. So, yeah, it's a strange metaphor. Yeah.
Well, it's one of those things where in the early 20th century, we were living where pharmaceuticals were invented, right? So pretty much, there'd been alchemy and stuff and folk medicine for years, but the idea that better living through chemistry was in our grasp, right? And that was everywhere, right? Yeah. And then up until maybe it was probably even in the 80s where people were starting to think, well, maybe it's not all it's cracked up to be. We've got all these people that are medicating themselves. You've got people that are abusing prescription drugs. We've got, I think over medication, especially in the psych field, is still a huge question that it hasn't been answered completely.
It may have a lot to do with all the dementia that's going on now too.
Who knows?
That could be. Yeah, could be. Well, on that note, guys, I'm going. I got to leave. So, but thank you. I got to go take my antidepressants right now. So.
Lock the door
and chase it with a bourbon. So there you go.
Perfect. See you, Dave. Thanks for showing
all right,
up.
guys. I'll see you when I get back from vacation.
Oh, cool. Where are you going?
We leave next Thursday for Vegas.
Oh,
so
Dave,
we're
out Vegas.
Yeah, believe it or not, we own a timeshare out there, but my best friend lives out there, and we're also going to scout locations to open up a shop out there. So
franchising, cool.
Yeah, we are. So
best of luck.
Thank you. Yeah, we're going to do that, and then we do Arizona in August for the same reason. So we're going to see which one wins.
Don't go leaving Belleville just because you open up in Vegas, okay?
Tell you the truth, we'll keep Belleville open, and we'll let the gang run it, and Sue and I are going to head on west. So, yeah, I'm done with the Midwest. My body can't take it anymore.
I'll have to stop in before you finally make that trip. And
believe me, we're just planting the seed right now. So it'll still be 2-3 years down the road before we actually do it. So
gotcha.
Yep.
All right.
But best laid plans start early.
Absolutely. All right. Take care, man.
Guys.
We'll talk with you later.
Sounds good. Thank you, guys. Talk to you.
Take care.
Well, I didn't get a chance to ask what was selling in the comic shops this week because he had to go. And so we'll just go with what people are actually ordering from Michael. What did people want this past few weeks here?
Well, one thing they don't want is crossovers anymore. Every time they do like Sinister War, nobody's been signing up for it. It just people are burnt out. There's fatigue on the events. People just give us a good story and we'll be interested. The event thing just does not work. Hasn't worked in years. And restarting everything over and over again, that's terrible. Another thing too is I'm getting a lot of customers getting panicky because Marvel, they're just like taking months off on titles. Like they took a few months off of Captain America. Now they're about to take a few months off of Avengers, and everybody's like, "Did you forgive me? Did you forgive me?" Like, no, they just aren't making them, and they're really making very little product. If I still had my stores, I'd be hemorrhaging money because it wouldn't have the product to pay 5,500 square foot of retail expense. I mean, I had a lot of overhead, and right now the product's just not coming out that would have paid the bills.
That's what contributed to you closing in the first place, was Diamond not providing you with product.
Right, yeah, and then that now I'm getting better service out of Diamond. It's still spotty from time to time, but much better. I mean, it's not 15 to 25% every week was just a killer. It's not that anymore, so it's a lot better than that. But so now I'm getting better supplies, and but then now they just don't make much stuff. And I'm like, every day I'm like, it's a good thing I closed down. And of course I've got all these other things going on. I'm working harder than I've ever worked as it is. So it's not like I didn't have other things to do, but I regret it. I mean, 40 years of building a clientele and a business, a couple of businesses, and to just shut them down, that was tough. But I took so many customers with me, so the way they're still going.
Yeah. Yep. You talk about supplies. Doing the whole shipping thing here, I've got to keep I got to keep supplies on hand. The Gemini mailers and the boards and the backers and stuff.
Going up on them, aren't they?
Yeah. What the hell's going on? Were they like all on that boat that got stuck in the canal? Because
I bought like 900 of them for like 70 cents. And like the next week, the price skyrocketed on them. Now I just stocked up for like the next year. Like
and you can't even find them.
Yeah, well, I bought them all.
Oh, so you're the reason I can't find any.
It's Michael's fault. He's throwing off the wheels of supply and demand.
Somebody's hoarding modern-sized backers and bags.
In the name of Adam Smith, knock it off. So yeah, it's just I was like, on the other hand, the Gemini mailers have cut in half. I'm like, did I write the wrong number down on my business plan here? Because I'm looking at it and like getting ready to order more Gemini mailers. I'm like, they're like half the cost now, so I've got to readjust all my pricing, which is good for my clients because they're going to get a better deal on their shipping. Or maybe I should just lock it in and call that extra profit or something. I don't know. Can I say that out loud on the air?
Yes, I always like to buy in bulk, stock up. You get a better price that way. And so I was selling them like 450, flyers or mailers all at a time at a pretty good price. So I bought one, and I thought, hey, before I got running down, I need to buy another one. And I was like, well, hey, he's only got one more left. I better grab it while I can. And then the next week, that's when the prices start going crazy because all the wood's going crazy. Everything's going up on cost, which is just going to kill small businesses because, we don't have the overhead to keep absorbing all these extra expenses. Now gas prices are going up. That always used to really kill my store sales because people, Arkansas is very rural. People have to drive to see you. Well, then it gets to be a matter, do they have the gas to come see you? Or are they one of those people who bought it and put it in a black plastic bag and stored it in their garage? People are doing crazy things. Yeah. And these people remind me of the crazy people on the stock market. Buy it at its highest price. Buy a lot. That's when you don't buy. So.
Yeah, I hear that. And people who've invested in crypto are dying.
I started buying in crypto when it started going down.
Yeah, it's still going down.
Yeah. I bought some, said, okay, I'll sit back now. I got myself about 5,000 coins, so we'll see what they do.
Yeah, I'm waiting for them to bounce back up to break even point. It's been a wild ride.
So I just got in. When it started going down, I got in. I always believe buy low, then sell high.
That's the philosophy. The trick is knowing in advance what's low and what's high. When you can do that one, then you're really ready to make some money.
So you just got to hit that keyhole.
But has there been any explanation as to why the supplies have gone up like that? I mean, it's just like, they're just up. That's all. They're just up.
Things like this go through patterns, and when main staples start getting expensive, now the gas also shortages, and it's everything was doing pretty good. Then we had a change in the office of the president, and get a guy in there who's shutting down oil lines and all of a sudden opening up taking sanctions off of other countries' oil lines. Okay, let's all start buying our oil from somewhere else. Prices start skyrocketing, and I mean, I'm not going to defend Trump's character or the way he acts. I mean, the guy, was a jerk. But hey, he was good for the American people as far as he made things, the working man, he made it better for them. I saw my customers with a lot more money the last 4 years than what I'm seeing with them now. And, it gets tough on people. I've seen my eBay sales here in the last few weeks all of a sudden just start really tightening up and slowing down.
Yeah.
So
disposable income is good for small business.
And this whole thing about now the unemployment checks have been stretched until September. That was another big factor being closed my stores. I couldn't find help anymore. I mean, people just wanted to get crazy money. I always paid higher than the national average for my industry, but you just couldn't find anybody who wanted to do the work anymore because they got paid better to sit at home because they got the unemployment check. Then they got other checks on top of that. People just, they don't think long term. They're like, hey, I'm making more money now. Then later they'll be crying when that runs out. But now they extended it to September. Every business I know in my area, you can't find work. Can't find helpers. Restaurants are closing down all the time because hey, we just don't have anybody to work tonight.
I don't know how people do that because I've been on unemployment. I was on unemployment at the end of last year and still doing this show. And I'm like, I get the check. I'm like, I've got to make this last because this is nowhere near what I was bringing home. How do I say, yeah, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life and not live in a cardboard box?
Yeah. And I'll see some of my customers be talking online about, who are riding the unemployment train. And they'll be talking about, how terrible bosses are. They make you work. They don't pay you enough respect and this and that. And you can just tell they're kind of creating that culture of like work bad. We just don't want to go back to work.
Yeah.
And I think we're running a whole generation of wage earners. I mean, they're getting to enjoy that free ride, and people will get by with less to not have to do more. So I mean, I remember when I was hitting the workforce as a young man, and here I was. Minimum wage at the time was $1.60, and I was one of the harder workers. I got the big money. I got $1.70 right away. Now I know that dime $4 a week doesn't sound like a whole lot, but back then, hey, that was a tank of gas and a weekend of activities. So, because you can buy gas for less than a quarter a gallon, and one time I even got it for a dime. But, I had all these friends who they were making better money than me on unemployment. So they were thinking short term, like, hey, you're working all this time and we got more money than you. We got all day to do whatever we want to. But that's like, that just doesn't last. That's not a long-term plan. And by the age of 22, I was managing my own printing division, while a lot of them were either still on unemployment or if they went to college, they were still in college. Well, I was already into management and then later started my own businesses. So, it's all, what do you want to do down the road? Do you want to just go for the free ride, or do you want to take control of your life? And not that many people right now are thinking about taking control of their lives. They're just, hey, somebody else do it for me.
Yeah. Matt, you were going to jump in there?
Online, I have to scroll past. Can't take part in them. When somebody asks you online,
just clearing my throat.
Somebody explain to me, don't take the bait. They just want somebody to yell at.
I hear that. But you know what? I am seeing a lot of people become self-owned businesses. Again, the whole crowdfunding thing is all these creators now that they were people who before would maybe they could write a comic, maybe they could draw a comic, but they were never getting through the publishing house.
Got opportunity now.
They've got opportunity, and not only are they writing and drawing what they want, but they're getting real world business skills with distribution and production and time management. If they crowdfund a few successful projects and decide to get out, they've got something for their resume, and it's going to be transferable skills to other markets. Now, hopefully they're all successful enough that they don't have to do that, and they actually run their own businesses and contribute that to the economy, becoming these new publishing houses, which I think some of them are going to do. I know Ethan Van Sciver has gone from crowdfunding a comic book to crowdfunding a publishing house. Now he's got that All Caps Comics, and he's got other books that are being distributed under his brand. Maybe that's the next step for Critical Blast distribution. We'll just say we're the exclusive distributors of some of these titles, and we'll become the that's it. We'll put it on the masthead there. It's Critical Blast.
Another
Nick
point
Mueller with Nick Mueller with his Demon Hunter Raven. He had 2 successful crowdfunds, and that actually got the attention of there's a game distributor, Golden Games, who's wanted to do comics, and so they reached out to a bunch of different indie creators who had successful campaigns, and Nick was one of them.
Well, good for
So
him.
I actually wrote half of an issue that is going to be getting published next winter. So
Cool.
So
That's
yeah, it was
yeah. Well,
So
that's
so
one
they,
thing. Everybody's off of work. People are sitting home on unemployment. You don't have the creators that are not going to shows, and Marvel and DC cut back their line when everybody's got the time to do the work. I just don't understand what Marvel and DC are thinking right now.
I think DC is trying to survive, and Marvel's trying to lay low and just coast until DC's either dead or back on its feet, because Marvel's whole strategy is, anytime a book dies, take up that slot on the shelf, and we don't care what you put in there, just as long as we get something physical on the shelf to take up that slot.
Well, they're just not putting much on the shelves right now. It's got funny. There was an interview on a website for retailers called ICV2, where they did an interview with Diamond, and they asked him directly, what is the percentage of stores that went out of business in the last year? And they dodged the question. They would not give a direct answer. They're just like, oh, stores are doing better than we thought they were. It's amazing how resilient stores are. That sounds like a worse job on a disaster scenario there.
Well, yeah. I mean, even in your situation, Diamond doesn't see that you closed, because you closed 2 stores, but you kept your Diamond account because that's what you're ordering your books
2 accounts, actually, because they owe me money on the other one. I'm not closing it until I get paid. So.
Well, then they'll never pay you.
Yeah, I know.
That's open.
That one's still open, but yeah. So so I still show us 2 accounts on their books. So like, hey, I'm not affecting the percentage at all, even though I've changed the way I do my business.
Yeah,
So,
I've heard people talk about that before. How several stores had closed out and just gone into mail order only, and therefore the stores didn't close, even though new people can't find you because there's no brick and mortar for them to drive to. I don't know. I don't think you do any advertising for what you do now. You're just kind of retaining your original customers, so it's not like you're trying to grow that branch.
I'm so busy with those. I really almost don't have the opportunity to take on more customers right now. I had so many customers, way more stay with me than I thought would, and it's almost more than what just one person can do. I do have a couple of people work for me part time, but like I've got one fellow, all he does is just list items on eBay, because I've got a section of books I didn't hang on to. That wasn't going to get any money for it. Well, I knew they were worth $100 a piece, so I'm putting that stuff on eBay. And I got a guy who comes in and does that. That way, I can just keep on working on my chronology and my other projects. I got my Wild Stars 5. It's being serialized this year in Kosovo. I've already turned in Wild Stars 6, the novel for next year. So I got my Wild Stars novel series going, and I finally announced when I got the 6th one turned in. I said, okay, now I'll finally tell people it's planned for 12 volumes. So you don't want to tell people that when you only got 1 or 2. Oh, yeah, but there's going to be 12 of these. But once you hit that halfway point, then you can start telling people, yeah, this has got an end point. I've got a long-term plan, and there's things that are going to happen in 12. I've been setting up all along, and it amazes people when they read things. Wow, I didn't realize you had that set up way back then. But I've had this long-term plan. This is something I plotted out in the 70s, and I'm just now getting the opportunity to write them. And once I gave up trying to do them as a comic, and doing them as novels, well, I can knock out a novel a lot faster than you can draw a comic.
So you're not going to go back to the comic version of it at any time during the rest of the run?
Well, the ones that have been comics, I kind of worked in the story why those are comics and the others are not. That's actually part of the plot. But if I ever have an opportunity to go back and do comics, sure. I'd be scripting a comic is like falling off a log as easy as it can be for me, because I've done so much of it over the years. And right now I'm not working on the Beyond the Farthest Star strip. John Lucas quit on that after 100 episodes, so now I got to find a new artist on that. So right now I'm not doing that. That's why I'm really crunching down on this chronology, try to get as much done as I can while I've got the time.
I could not remember the title of your strip the other day, Michael, and it was driving me crazy because I had Charles Santino on earlier this week, and I was like, "Hey, do you know Michael Tierney?" He's like, "Well, I know the name. I don't know why I know the name." I'm like, "Because he was doing web comics for the Edgar Rice Burroughs estate," and I was like, "Yeah, Michael's doing the same thing," and I was like, "He's doing the space one." He's like, "John Carter?" I'm like, "No, it wasn't John Carter. It's the other one." And we're like, well, it was either John Carter or Carson of Venus. I'm like, neither one of those sounds right. So it was Beyond the Farthest Star. Okay, now, and I could have Googled it.
Strips written. I just got to find an artist to draw it now. So.
Yeah, and you had a great artist on there too.
Was that?
you had a great artist on those strips. I'm,
Oh yeah, John was good.
sad that he
Great
left.
pencils and inks, and I think he just got tired of doing it. It is a weekly grind. You have to come out with one of those every week. I do the scripting and the coloring. So what I do on the scripting, I'll write a whole bunch at one time, and then I'll just color them as he turns them in. And so that was the way I kind of lined that up, and then that way freed me up to keep on working on all the other stuff at the same time. I've got so many projects always going at the same time, which I think that kind of keeps stuff fresh. That way you're not just doing one thing all the time.
Oh yeah. We last night, and I'm only thinking of this because of your art that was being turned in on Beyond the Farthest Star, and I mentioned before, I think it reminded me a lot of Alex Raymond because it was that particular style. And then last night we had Carson Grubau on, who's the artist and co-creator on The Strange Death of Alex Raymond, which is a hardcover. It's being listed in Diamond. It's just finished on Kickstarter earlier this afternoon. But yeah, he and Dave Sim worked on this project, and it was all done in Alex Raymond kind of art style. And it was all about, just following that whole rabbit hole of what was going on in Alex Raymond's life and the car crash that took his life, and how I guess it was one of Dave Sim's pet projects where he just wanted to tell the story. And the more he dug into it, the more things he was like, these people's stories don't match up. Why was this never investigated? This is all looking kind of hinky.
Oh, wow.
And it was back in the era, when comic strip writers were buying sports cars and, being treated like celebrities because they were famous people. Mm-hmm. Margaret Mitchell's involved in there, and Aleister Crowley is involved in it. So it's like there's a lot of weird stuff going on. I cannot wait to read that one. But yeah, if you're looking for an artist in that kind of style, Carson might be up for it now because he just finished his book. So
get a hold of me there. Send me some samples. I'll get with Ed Rouse Pearls and show what he's doing there. So
I'll do that.
Yeah.
Speaking of artists,
go ahead.
I was going to say, speaking of artists and comics, Matt, what's going on with Ideal Comics now?
Oh, right now we are still working on colorizing very slowly, because I've kind of been working on it just myself between other things. Colorizing our webcomic, Force of Good and Evil, putting it up on Webtoons. I just got done. I sent you yesterday a little vanity project, a little 6-page mini comic that I did the pencils for and wrote the script for. That it features our hero Chad the Tinker. I don't know what I'm going to do with it right now, but it was something I just did for kind of as a challenge to myself, I guess. And because I haven't drawn anything that extensively in years, because I'm a writer, not an artist.
Yeah, that's me. I write, I cannot draw.
But it was something that was fun to do, and I'm excited to hear what you think of it. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but yeah, we're kind of between projects at the minute as far as long-term stuff, but I've got I'm going to have some, we do have a Patreon, and I'm going to be getting some strips, some comedy strips, superhero comedy strips up on the Patreon here in the next week that I'm excited for, but that feature the rabbit superhero Grabbit.
Grabbit?
A rabbit superhero, yep.
We need more light superhero stuff. I was talking on Twitter the other day. It's like, we got this overabundance of really violent heroes, and we got this overabundance of really deconstructed heroes. I'm like, I just want a guy in a cape punches a bank robber. Can I get a guy in a cape punching a bank robber? That would be
then I think I honestly think that you'll like the Chad story, because that's basically what it is. Not a cape though. He's Chad the Tinker is he can fix anything. That's his power. And so he's kind of a construction themed hero. He uses a magic roofer's hammer as his main weapon.
Yeah, he's fixing Felix.
Sort of like that. Yeah. And but yeah, I want these stories to be very kind of diesel punk, but also very classic hero stuff. So especially that one is very straightforward. And it's super compressed. It's 6 pages. So
again, compressed is good.
I think
that's good.
Yeah, if you sold that property to Marvel, first of all, he'd have dinner for 2 issues telling you how he got his hatchet, and then maybe something might happen and he would spend another issue getting to the thing that happens.
Well, I'll tell you how we get it. He forged it in the other world.
Oh, well, there you go.
There you go.
That's all the story you need.
Yeah.
Forged it in the other world. Explains everything.
There's more to that story, but I haven't told it yet.
All right. Well, guys, I'm going to go ahead and get ready to close out the stream here. Is there any topics of the past couple of weeks here in comics that we should all know about?
Buy more comics.
Buy more comics. Support your local comic shop.
There you are.
All right. Michael, I'll send you put you in contact with Carson, and you guys can talk back and forth.
Yeah,
because I think his style's really good.
A lot of stuff, but science fiction, that seems to be a challenge for a lot of artists because you get when you get devices and technical backgrounds and things like that. It's spaceships and fighting aircraft, which beyond the farthest star. I mean, you had waves of ships going at each other. So some people are good at that. The mechanical stuff kind of throws people sometimes. Some people are really good drawing a figure, but they just can't draw that background, that perspective.
I think Professor Grubau he teaches art at a college level, and he copies Dave Sims' style. He doesn't copy Dave Sims' style. His style is compatible with Dave Sims. I know Dave was like backing off the book, and Carson came in to say, "Hey, I want to finish this up, and here's my art samples." And Dave was like, "Oh yeah, that'll complement it well," and they worked together and finished it. So yeah, and since it was Alex Raymond, and there were like images of Flash Gordon and Joan in there, I think it'll match the style of your strip real well. Carson, if you're watching, there'll be an email coming soon here to you. So, with that said, thanks for coming on the show, guys. Appreciate having you guys here every other week. Everybody in the chat, appreciate you showing up. We don't have a show without you, and as always,